Hey smokers, Dragon1 here. Today we're going to be taking a behind-the-scenes look at my project files for the Euro Disco music video that I made. I put a lot of work into this. It was something that I just had this passion to do for some reason, and I just, like, from start to finish, I knew exactly how I wanted it to look, and I just filled in all the gaps. It was kind of cool, and all it took was time and sitting in front of this stupid software, which is actually really great, by the way. This is Movie Studio Platinum 13. It's actually pretty dang good, and I only got it for like $35 on Steam, and yeah, it's helped me out quite a lot. Anyway, so the project file we have open right now is the project file that is strictly only the whatever that you see on the monitor in the video, and there's a link in the description for those of you who haven't seen the music video who want to know what's going on. But you can sort of see that, and of course I'm going to have to like mute the audio here, but as you can see, it's the same kind of thing. It's in the music video, and you can see that for these portions here, when things change really fast, like actually it can't keep up in real time, but these parts are manually timed to the music. Again, I can't have the music because Content ID. I'd prefer not to Content ID this. So sort of chord changes here, image changes here, and then you have a drum hit here, and then of course we have Penny. Now we have a lot of nonsense going on down here, which is actually the lip syncing. So let me drag this down here. So as you can see, I'll just stop this. Each mouth move is a separate, I guess you could say, mouth phoneme. There's not a whole lot of detail with this process, but you can sort of see that each and every one of these clips here is a different. So this is sort of the ooh. There we go. So again, it's not very detailed. I'm not an animator, but this is sort of all I could do with the tools that I knew how to use, and that happened to be Movie Studio Platinum and Inkscape, which is what I used to make Penny there. This is just the base face right here. So if I were to put this anywhere else, like let's say let's move this up here, it's just her face without a mouth. So since this is the most dominant track here, you can see that's her face without the mouth. Because every once in a while, and then there's also an intermittent, she will blink. So you have the base face layer, which is everything but the mouth. And this is our face layer here. She will blink. And then for a split second, then it resumes here. So there's very little actual facial animation other than just blinking and eyes open on this track, and the rest of the face on this track, and then just the mouth on this track. So if I slow this down to, let's say, 36, you can see each time the mouth changes. Now this was all manually cut with the audio, and if you do want to follow along, you can listen in the other video. But yeah, you can see pretty clearly there's a pretty fast vocal change here. And when the consonants really get going, that can really get going. Holding sustained notes here. Yeah, so if you really look at it too closely, it doesn't look that great. But yeah, so each and every one of these each and every one of these is actually a separate image. So see all these G4734, all of these are all the individual vocal phoneme lip stages. Let's see if I can go over here just to sort of demonstrate one. If I were to drag this here, you'll see that it's only like a lip. So of course if we import this directly, it won't line up over a face. So let's see if we can just build our own penny so I can sort of show you. Oh, maybe I use, oh, that's what this is. This is, I put a video inside a video. That's what happened. So I just, that's why that was not working. Let's go back over here. Let me just delete this for now so I can show you easily. Here we go. So if I mute this, then the mouth goes away. It's back, goes away. If I mute this, the head goes away. So we can just have a mouth. Actually, let's set the speed back to 1. We can have a mouth just speaking in the darkness, a la Pat Guy 2 Part 2 Pagoon style, and then the head comes in. Could do something like that. If anybody knows that reference, say something, please, because there's like nobody else that will know that reference. But I don't know if that had any inspiration on this or not. But so, and then you have the rest of the stuff. This was the most time-consuming part. The rest of this stuff was just to go with the other portions and to accompany me doing lip syncing. And then the whole thing happens again. She doesn't have any other vocal lines. There's only one thing she sings. And I just, once I've done it once, I just copy paste the whole thing again. Except for this part where she says Euro Disco or whatever. I can't remember. Then she goes back to just singing. So I rendered this out into its own track, so I didn't have to drag all of this data over here. I just consolidated into one pre-rendered thing. So we can come over here. We can build our own penny, technically. What is this? Is this it? So now we can see that there's our mouth. Zoom in. Well, hopefully not exactly like that, but so the mouth is there. Oh, you can't actually see what I'm seeing when I do that. But I can sort of position the mouth like that. And there we have it. I don't think I even used that lip. And oh, it's actually animating by accident. Okay. So yeah, that's basically how it's put together. And then she has a face. And we can grab a couple more of these. As you can see, it's not lined up, so I had to manually line these up. And so yeah, I would have to reline this up. So let me go in here and so I couldn't even render it in time. Yeah, it was really fast. So that's literally the extent of what happened there. Now this is just what happened on the monitor in front of me. All of this is just what happened on the monitor. I compiled this down, I rendered it out into a YouTube video and played it back while lip syncing with it. Now, you probably want to know what went into the animation beyond that. That's pretty much all there is to it. What about the design of her herself? Well, let's switch programs. Okay, so here we are in Inkscape. And as you can see, it looks pretty much exactly what it looks like in the finished thing. This is her in her blinked mode, and she has no lip phoneme. So I don't remember exactly what's going on here, but if we zoom out to about here, and then we go like this, you're going to see a lot of boxes. Now those boxes, let's see how many boxes there are. Oh, there's a little bit more. Each one of those boxes is the individual modeled lip phonemes. Now you can't see them because there's no... So now that I've expanded the black background, you can see the very tiny individual lips. Now most of these are not modeled off of anything. I just kind of got creative. And mostly they're not, I didn't offer myself much creative freedom because when I tried to do a third line in there, it started to look kind of creepy. So I had to keep it individual lines, which didn't give me many opportunities to do anything with the tongue, which really helps when you're trying to make speech. So yeah, those are all, I didn't use all of them, but those are all, and then basically these were all, each one of these was saved as an individual image, and that's where you got that long list of images for all of the vector mouths. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that away. Actually, you kind of need it. So I think it's the Jesus layer. Yeah, so this is where it was originally modeled from. Here you have all of the different frames. I don't think I used this. I don't think this was the frame I used. I think it was this one. It's a screenshot right out of the show. And I just traced it essentially. So yeah, I don't know if that makes me like one of those art tracers. Nobody likes art tracers or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's bad. I don't know if I get in trouble for that, but at least I'm saying yes, that's exactly what I did. I don't have any real artistic talent, so it ended up making a stylized derivative work anyway, and we're going from what is a 3D model to a 2D vector graphic. So you're going to see in a second when I uncheck this that, you know, you can see that I took some liberties. Yeah, that was the original image, I think. So if we turn the eyes on, see that I just traced the eyes. Those were some unused eyes. That's closed eyes. There's the bow, and that's the hair. So you can see that right here, you can see where I kind of took the lines from. You can see the curvature of a shadow there. But again, this is what I think is both a combination of texture mapping on this 3D model, which is her hair, and then you have some outline on the edges of the actual model itself. So this in and of itself is unique to the rendering engine, I guess, when this was originally rendered. Depending on where they pointed the camera would determine what this would look like. So this frame in and of itself is totally unique, and then I traced that. Ethically questionable, I don't know, I didn't monetize the video. So there's the eyes, alternate eyes, closed eyes. But it was just one layer for some reason, and that's all of that. And then if we turn off this and reintroduce the black, you can see that. There's the face, its own layer. If you want to compare that to this, see where I got that. And then of course there's so many mouths that they're interchangeable and it doesn't matter really where it goes on there. So we take away that and throw a mouth on it. There you have it, 1-to-1. So it's really just a combination of PNG images composited in Movie Studio Platinum and switching out the mouth phonemes on a different layer to give the appearance of speech or something. Now, here you're going to see the very first test on the monitor. This is what it looked like before I knew how to properly adjust contrast on the monitor. And then when I did, this is the next test that it looked like when I figured out the contrast. And that's that solid image that I did a full trace of it and then made just that solid image. That was sort of the placeholder until I could actually get the full thing animated. So if you're wondering where this all comes together, it's in this project, back in Movie Studio Platinum again. The first project you saw is right here on this monitor. It was just recorded right off the screen. It doesn't exist in the project in any way other than how it's represented on camera. It was filmed with a DSLR, and I took several takes. Where are all those takes? Well, there's a bunch of crap down here. But yeah, pretty much each of these tracks is a different take, and everything's splattered all over the place, and it looks like garbage. But basically, I took the best take for each segment that I could. For example, here, the best take of me bouncing around there, and it switches to this take. Goes back and forth between me dancing and just sort of lip syncing. And they're all different takes, and it's all lined up accordingly. Now, this could have been edited to extreme precision to the point where I would not have had to make an overlay track, which was just this composited on. But if I remove it, there's a little bit of loss of sync, but to show you that it's not a composite. And it could work if edited correctly. It would have just been absolutely infuriating. Hell, it probably still would have been passable and still would have worked, because every single take was lined up perfectly, and I chopped out the best parts. So everything should line up fine, and if I were to re-render this, it would be just fine. So every single one of these, you can see, I suppose this is proof because you're looking at the project file. These are all audio tracks down here, so they don't count. These are just individual video tracks with video footage on them, and I literally recorded this right off the screen. It does look that good. Now, when it comes to the parts, so it can't really do that in real time, but I'll still turn this off. So yeah, that's still a thing. So this complicated shot actually, through a lot of cleverness, I managed to only it only took this to do it. This is me there. This is me there. This is me there. Now that's where shit gets really nasty for some reason. I don't know why. Now this was before I had Vegas Pro, and Movie Studio Platinum doesn't have any form of masking whatsoever. None. And that would have made my job a lot easier. But no, I had to use the FX thing, video event FX, that you can't actually see right now. But it's called Sony Cookie Cutter. And basically the only controls that it has happen to be you can make you pretty much can make a primitive, simple shape, and that's it. The rest, you have to get creative. So I managed to somehow do this. What is it, solo? So that's just that. That's just that. So as you can see, I'm just using the oval to perfectly cut myself out there. That's literally all I had to work with. And then that was just the base frame that the other ones were laid on top of. So that one got laid in there. And you see sort of slight differences because the sync is just slightly off. That's why I have the overlay to remove any sort of Is this, did I reactivate this? Is this working now? Probably not. I don't know. I think I broke it. Oh, because this is soloed, that's why. Something else might be soloed somewhere, I don't know. What happened? Oh, I must have soloed that as well, okay. Or maybe I didn't? Unsolo? Oh, that one's soloed, okay, that's why. So there you can see slight differences there. So that's what that was. So from the top, we have, starting with this, then this, then this. You'll see some artifacting. And if you go back and you look in the video, you will see some artifacting. It was really hard to get rid of all of it due to the limitations of the software. Most of the stuff is just regular timeline edited. Most of this is not composited, except for, you know, a little bit of cheating up here just to make it, just to smooth it out a bit. But again, if I get rid of it, it will look roughly the same, just with some sync issues. So this is not an effect. It's not a filter. That's just how it looks on the camera. And just through shutter speed adjustments, I was able to get rid of the flicker and make it look pretty much perfect. I literally had to make every single take without the camera moving at all. It wouldn't have worked any other way. So the more complicated shot we have here is this, which this is glowing brighter. This is actually where the special effects stuff kind of comes in. This is actually, I had to record everything through in total darkness as well. So I recorded an entire shot of the monitor just playing through its program in the dark. So that's composited with a bunch of other things in this scene, which chokes my computer out. So if we go to the final everybody in it, you have left, right, middle, and this. So if we only show that, that's what that is. So that's the left. This is all with the filter over it. That's the right. That's the gradient effect you can't see if I do that. And that's just that. So if you pick this apart, you will see problems. Like for this, you'll see that I think my hand does go in and out of it at some point. I don't know. Where is it? I had to do some weird stuff. Like you can sort of see that I introduced a black box here. I don't even remember what I did. Like depending on where my hands happen to be, I made a different cookie cutter shape to accommodate like mistakes. And eventually you'll see something. Here's the same way. Something changed over here. I had to change, ended up adding a cookie cutter. The good news is you can you can stack the cookie cutter effects on top of each other. So if I wanted to add, you know, this cut through and then this remove, then that actually works. This is where it got really nasty right here through this point. I don't know what I did there. So when you play it in regular speed, it looks pretty good. So if I were to consolidate this down into one track, it would look a lot less complicated than it actually is. This really isn't complicated. In fact, I could just do that right now. I could say, hey, that goes there, this goes there, this goes there, there's something else in the middle there, and I could shift all of these up into one track and it would play out exactly the same way. Because when you finally play back a video at the end, it's a linear process from frame 0 to frame whatever the last frame is. So this was just sort of, this looked much different when I was editing it out because you had one solid block sort of like this, one solid block on top of another. And then I kept going until I chopped it up and then it looks like this. And when I was actually doing the actual editing, this is kind of what it looked like. So yeah, that's all the projects. Uh, Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you got some insight into how I put this thing together. I don't know if there's anything special to look at or not, but it was a process. A lot of this stuff would have been probably a lot better done in like After Effects or movies or Vegas Pro, which has the masking ability, would have made this a hell of a lot easier. But I didn't have that at the time. But it just shows you what you can do within limitations, and I think that is kind of interesting and really says a lot about this software and what you can do. Now, if these scenes were any more complicated, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I specifically knew that I only had to use the cookie cutter effect, and I filmed accordingly. So in this track, that was, sorry, let's find a better one. So in this area here, I knew that I was going to be in this zone, and I was only going to be able to use a box to cut myself out. So I knew I had to be very careful not to cross this line, or my hat was going to get cut off, or I was going to get cut off. And sometimes it did. I did get too close. Same thing over here. I made sure that I was in this special zone so that I wouldn't get cut out. Right. So that's pretty much everything. I hope you guys found it interesting, and maybe sometime I will make another music video like this, but probably won't happen in the near future. I'm not really feeling the inspiration right now to do it, but with this, I just knew exactly what it had to look like. It was crazy, and I love the band, and the song I was playing on loop for a while, just like one night I just listened to it just nonstop on loop, and I was just coming up with all these ideas for what I wanted to do, and I just did it. So, and one more thing, somebody I did want to address, for those of you who are curious. I think it was just one guy who asked, but as a result of this video, somebody actually mentioned in the comments and was asking whether or not I had Marfan syndrome. Well, I actually did go through the full diagnostic process to find out whether or not I did. Should have been obvious that I wasn't, but I was concerned enough because I had a lot of the I guess you could say, symptoms. So I went through the full diagnostic process, and they've determined that I do not have Marfan syndrome. So if you were concerned about my health, you don't need to be. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.